Hi, my name is Mateusz Rogalski, and this is Prototyping1 in 3D. My game starts off in a main menu mode. To achieve this, I set the main menu level to be separate from the main game level. The main menu level also starts off with a different player character that only has two functions, and that is to create the main menu widget and to set the input mode to be mouse only. The main menu widget also has two functions, and those are to send the player to the main level and to quit the game. Within the game, I have several mechanics in place, starting off with the particle system. I have parented the particle system together with a collision box to an active blueprint. This allowed me to hide and show the particle system on a loop, allowing the player to pass through the wall of flames. The hitbox also has a function, as when I meet it, the player character receives a status effect that causes him to take damage over time and changes his status display, his HUD display, sorry. To remove this status, I simply have to meet the hitbox of a nearby water puddle. The next function is of the button inside the cave. When in the proximity, the HUD displays a letter E to indicate that it is the key you need to press to interact with it. Upon interacting with it, the button goes down, plays a quick sound effect, and a cutscene is set off that opens a exit way out of the cave. Before I exit the cave and show you what that does, I would also like to mention that I have a function in place that causes the game to pause and display a copy of the main menu system in front of the player view. Lastly, when exiting the cave, we meet a hitbox with which, when we overlap, causes the win game scenario, in which, as we can see, the display says you win, and after approximately 5 seconds, we are returned to the start menu. When it comes to the code, most of it is under the first-person character. Starting off with the simple functions, on begin play, I create the widget that will serve as the HUD for the player. Here I also call the event of death, in which I simply destroy the player actor when called. As for the more interesting functions placed in the character, here are the workings of the burning status effect. It is also when the actor It is so when the actor overlaps with any object, it will check if the burning boolean is true or false. If it is true, I do a simple calculation that takes away the player health for 10 points each time it plays. For this to loop, I next do two checks. One is for if the player HP has reached 0, and one that checks if the player is still burning after a second. If the player HP reaches 0, the loop stops and the player is killed. If the player is not dead, however, the loop will continue until the status effect is removed. In order to manipulate the burning status effect, I cast on component overlap from both the fire and the water actor to change the boolean respectively. In order to activate and deactivate the fire actor, I link the event tick to a flip-flop that will switch the visibility of the particle effect every 2 seconds. This also activates and deactivates the hitboxes in my own, let's say, roundabout way. This is also where I set the fire sound effect location. As for the button function, I first check if the player is within range of the button hitbox. If the player is close, I add the widget E to the viewport and remove it when the player leaves the range. When within the range, I set the gate to allow for an input action that then sets off a button sound, the animation for the button going in, going out, and finally send a signal to the level sequence to start playing and open the door. Lastly, the win event is a simple action linked to the begin overlap of the box. It removes all widgets, creates a new win screen, and adds it to the viewport. After 5 seconds, it then sends the player back to the main menu level. That is all. Thank you.